A little cast out there. Woo, son. I don't know if there's anything out there or not. But all week, hey, we were catching them on spinning tackle. Just like this, little devil's horse. Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, that's what I want to talk about. This is the update of the week. And what I want to talk about was some of the nice fish we caught last week on spinning tackle and the devil's horse. I'm talking about nice big ones. I got my computer set up right here, and I'll get the umbrella over so you in the sun. I just want to show you Mark and Jacob. Okay, look at these 5 and 6 pounders we caught. Look at all these fish right here. Now there's Professor Mark here. It's about a 6.5. There's about a 5.5. There's another 6. There's another. They're all big fish, all beautiful bass. Okay, these guys were from Massachusetts, and they couldn't use casting tackle. So what I did, I rigged up a couple rods, I had some favorite rods. I had some Bass Pro Shop rods, and I put braid on the spinning reel, 20-pound braid, and 20-pound test a monofilament leader, just like this. You see right here, I see a monofilament leader. And the reason why I do that is that on this devil horse, the front spinner kind of spins around, and if you don't have something that just sticks out straight, like the regular braid, just to tie the braid to that, it would get all wrapped around the propeller. So that's why I use the stiff monofilament that sticks out the end. Anyway, that yellow one was really good. I normally use a white, hey, but that yellow was killing them. So what happened was I said, okay, I got another friend that came down, and his name is Dickerson. His name is Dennis Dickerson. Look at this shot. I was just trying to show you real quick what we got here. We got back here, I get Dennis Dickerson right here. Look at this guy. Look at this big bass. So the thing about Dennis, if I can get right on that one. There, okay, now look at that bass. Look at this big bass. Look at that thing. It's 8 pounds. It's 8 pounds. And so when Dennis said to me, he says, Roland, he says, listen, I've never caught a bass over 7.5 pounds. I've never caught a bass over 7.5 pounds. And so right away I gave him the same rod that we'd used the day before. This was like just a couple days ago. We were fishing Headwaters Pond. I gave him the same lure, yellow devil's horse. It was just a killer deal. It was 11 o'clock in the day, and there's like a tropical depression going on right now. It's a little bit sunny right now, but it's been kind of cloudy and rainy all week. It's been a great topwater time. There's a little bit of wind right now, a little bit of sun, but for the rest of the week, it was mostly calm and cloudy and overcast, and perfect complement for topwater fishing. Water temperatures in the 80s. Water was pretty clear, and the fish were just biting topwater just like crazy. Well, okay, so anyway, Dennis at 11 o'clock threw out there, bam, he catches this bass just an ounce short of 8 pounds. And it's the biggest one he ever shot or ever killed, and I'm thinking of turkeys. Biggest one he ever caught. It was a catch and release program, of course. And that's the thing about my fishing right now. I do all catch and release. And I just take a lot of friends out, and we catch any number of bass in the 7 and 8 pound class during the week usually, but we always release them. Okay, it's always a catch and release. Now, the last couple days I've been getting ready for a big trip, because tonight's it's going to be a special deal. I'm going to go night fishing tonight. I'm going to just show you what I got. Okay, let me just show you this complement of night fishing stuff. The first thing, my big buddy Barry Maynor from Decatur, Alabama. Barry sent me these spinnerbaits, and what these spinnerbaits are, that's a number 6 Hildebrandt, a great big spinnerbait, and I got a big trailer on it. I got a Yamamoto frog on there. This is 55-pound braid, and I'm going to throw these spinnerbaits on the edges of the hydrilla tonight once it gets dark. So that's one big compliment that I'm going to use. It's going to be for sure. But let me just show you what I caught a monster bass on just last week. I caught the biggest bass of the year just before dark. I was fishing at night, and just before dark on this big counter-strike buzzbait. That's a really big buzzbait. It wasn't this exact one, but it was one similar. It was a black one, had a trailer on there just like that. It was again 65-pound braid on a big heavy-duty favorite rod and reel. I was buzzing this across a hydrilla flat, bam, a 10-pound, 8-ounce bass eats that thing up. I got that picture on there as well, but that's beside the point. Well, I already showed you that. It was a big bass I caught just before dark about 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to try to take that big buzzbait and try to really kind of make it happen. I'm trying some other different kinds of lures. I'm just kind of experimenting. And there's a buzzbait out there called a zombie, and I don't know, it has a clacker on it, kind of like this one. So I built this. This isn't exactly a zombie, but what this is actually a Strike King buzzbait. But I put a little brass rod on there just to make it clack funny. I don't know if it's going to help or not. I'm going to try it. That's the other thing. And there's one other thing I'm going to do. Have you ever heard of jigger pole fishing? Let me just tell you a little bit about jigger pole fishing. Let me just show you something. I got a rod right here. Okay. Years ago, I was guiding at Santee Cooper in South Carolina. And I came upon a guy in a small little boat one day, and he caught a 14-pound bass that day. It was the biggest bass I've ever seen at that point. Now, what he had was a cane pole. This isn't a cane pole, this is actually a crappie pole right here. This happens to be 14 feet long. But what he had was this pole that he had was a Calcutta pole, and on the end of it, he had about a 100-pound test line or so, and he had a 6-inch piece of real heavy line, about 100-pound test line, onto like a treble hook, and it had a piece of pork chunk, like a pork rind that he'd kind of cut out himself. And he would take that, and it was kind of dangling off the tip a couple inches, and he'd take that underneath these bushes, and like this, he'd go around the water, and he would come along, and he would take the rod. Let's see the rod, how it hits the water. The rod just kind of hits the water. I'll show you right over here. Now the lure's not on here. There's no lure on here. But just say I had the lure. See how I'm splashing to the tip? I'm splashing the tip right here. Now, if there was a lure on behind it, right behind that splash, it'd be like a white lure. And I'd come across and I'd come around these lily pads, and I'd splash the water right there, and I'd splash it right there. And these big bass would see that thing splashing right there, like at the corner of the lily pads. Wham! They hit the thing. Now, I don't know tonight if it's going to work or not. I got to experiment. This is kind of an experimental thing, because I don't know if that rod's going to hold up. Say a 10-pound bass hits it, it might destroy the rod. But it's only a $13 rod. So I'm going to try. At least I'm going to see if I can't get a big strike. I know what the jigger bait does, and I know how to work the jigger bait. I don't know if this is the right rod yet. But anyway, I'll be on the front of my bass boat, running my trolling motor real slow and quiet, running that jigger pole for a while, and that'll be an experiment. We'll see what happens. Run it by the edge of the hyacinths, by the edge of the cypress trees, any kind of cover like that. Boy, those big bass like liable to explode right on that jigger pole. Okay, well that's kind of what's happening in my world. I'm getting ready to launch my boat, and so anyway, folks. Hey, thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. I want to tell you another thing. I did a how-to video this week on all the different types of topwater lures. And it seems like that's what you really want. You really want information, hardcore information, rather than just catching fish. That's one thing. But just information on the lures that I use, the tackle that I use, the techniques that I use, rather than just going out and catching fish and talking about that. I'm going to talk about the technique itself. And so that seems to be the most successful thing I'm doing right now, is the how-to format. So anyway, I just want to tell you I'm really on top of that, and I'm going to do a how-to format tonight, trying to film how to catch big bass at night. So that's the deal. Okay, well, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Hey, hit the likes button.